So the first command I'm going to show you is called BC. So you can just go ahead and run it. And you'll see that kind of interpreter is going to open up, kind of like Python. But you can just type in math. So for example, 5 plus 5, it'll just print out 10. But it's a lot more than this. So you actually have variables, so you can just store stuff. So for example, test equals, I don't know, like 6 plus 1. You'll see that the result is not printed anymore, but I can just type in test, and I'll see the result. You have for loops, so for example, you can go ahead and run on, let's say, start from 0 and run until 5. Syntax is kind of similar to C, but the language itself is really different, so don't confuse the two of those. Let's just make it increase by 1 each time. And I'll just print I plus 1, for example. Just close the loop. You can see that now it counts until 5. You also have if conditions and a lot of other stuff. I'm not going to show everything. It's important to note that by default it doesn't do any floating points. So if you just divide by, for example, 1 divided by 5, it's just going to be 0. If you want to actually work with floating points, you're going to want to set the scale to, for example, 20. And now if you go ahead and do 1 divided by 5, you'll see that you're getting a precision of 20 after the dot. You also have built-in functions included. So for example, I can calculate the square root. So square root of 16, for example. You're going to get 4. Also, you have more functions. And for this, you're going to want to run this program with the -L flag. Then it's going to set the scale to be automatically 20. And you'll get access to even more functions. Okay, so now I can use the sinus function, for example. So sinus is just s, and then you pass in the number. So it gets the number in radians, so I'm just going to pass in pi, so that's going to be like sinus 180. So this is approximately pi. I'm expecting this to be about 0. You can see that it's almost 0, this number. Very small number. It's important to know that BC has all kinds of weird behaviors, so it's important to take a look at those before you're using it for actual stuff. Next command is called cal. So this is a very nice command. It's actually displaying a nice calendar in your terminal. So by default, you'll get a calendar of the current month. You can also use cal to display a specific month. So for example, I'm going to display, let's say, January of 2015. You can see now I see how January looked like. Last command we're going to take a look at is called object dump or objdump. So while BC and cal are built into a lot of distros, objdump may not be built into your distro. You can just get it by installing the GNU binutils package. But chances are if you're programming C or C++ on your machine, you probably already have it installed. So for demonstrating this command, I actually wrote a little C program here. You can see that it just prints hello world on the screen using the puts function. Let's just go ahead and compile this with GCC. So after GCC compiled and linked this, it left us with a file called a.out. We can just go ahead and run it. And it works fine. Let's say you want to see the assembly of this file. So for this I can use objdump with the -D option, which is going to disassemble everything. And I also like passing in the -M-intil option, which basically sets the syntax to intil, because the default syntax of AT&T is harder to read in my opinion. Now I'll just pass in the file, a.out, and I'll pass this into Vim. So I'll use Vim with the minus option, which basically makes Vim read from stdout. Now I'll just go ahead and search for the main function. And you can see here the assembly of the main function. As you can see, we can see right here in the assembly the call to the function puts. So it's actually printing the string. And the line before it loads the memory address of the string hello world into the RDI register. So if you would go ahead and look at this location in the file, you would actually see the string. Subscribe for more Linux tips, and thanks for watching.